Hoop Radio, egte radio, jou inspirasiestasie.
Kingfisher FM.
I'm not sure if you're aware, I hope you are, that the President signed that hate speech bill on the 9th of May. And so it is my privilege to be chatting to Philip Rosenthal from Christian View Network. Philip, welcome back to Kingfisher FM.
Hi there.
So, Philip, this is somewhat concerning for many people, I think, or I'd like to believe. Can you just remind us, what is this bill and what does it mean for our freedoms?
Okay, well, the hate speech bill now puts a threat of up to 5 years in jail as a criminal sentence for things that people say, which is a very serious risk. And what it's defining as hate speech is very vague. So the result is that it's a bit of a gamble in terms of which judge you get and what the opinion of that judge is. And so that is a very serious threat to Christians and anybody else who wants to put forward a controversial opinion.
So it means that if let's say, for instance, I'm in a church service and the minister says something a little bit controversial, maybe what some people would read as offensive, it means that minister has a chance of being taken to court. Is that right?
Well, I think that in terms of the way that the act is phrased, I think that in teaching from a Bible text in an actual church service would probably have a lower risk of being taken to court. But what is more of a risk is what people say outside of church, for example, on the radio, like what we're talking now, or in the street. And it doesn't, I think, entirely protect what is said during inside a church, but more than what one would be saying in the public arena. But unfortunately, because of the vague way that things are worded, it's open to interpretation, and we will have to see how the courts will interpret that. But I think the positive news is that there are people who are intending to challenge this at the Constitutional Court because it's putting a limitation on the rights of our free speech, of our religious freedom, of our freedom of conscience, and our social and cultural rights, of groups. So the consequence is that we would hope that the Constitutional Court would overturn it, or at least fix some of the very serious problem.
So Philip, this, I mean, it's always interesting in terms of our political landscape at the moment and the fact that elections are coming up. Do you think that the president was hasty in signing this?
Well, I think that he maybe doesn't understand that this can be used against himself and other ministers in his own government. Because if they were to say something controversial and then they were unfortunate to get a judge that felt that what they'd said was hate speech, and the act says that if the speech is socially harmful, then you can go to jail for that. Now, what is social harm? Well, in my opinion, what a whole lot of other people are saying who disagree with the Christian faith is socially harmful, but they might say, well, a biblical opinion is socially harmful. Yeah. And somebody else might say that the other political party's view is socially harmful. So that's just a gamble on what that court is going to think. And unfortunately, other political leaders in other countries have themselves landed up in court, and so it's a very problematic act.
So what, at this point in time, there isn't much that is there something that we can do, or is it just supporting the folk who are taking this to the Constitutional Court? Like, where do we go from here?
Well, I think that there's two routes which it can take from here. One is that the people who are opposing it wait for a specific case where somebody is prosecuted, and then at that point they attempt to defend against this. The other route is that they decide to challenge that directly, but so then that would be to preempt the actual prosecution of an individual, and that is a decision which will have to be made by the people who are opposed to that. In the next few weeks, they're going to have to discuss this and decide whether they're going to wait for an actual case or whether they're going to preemptively challenge it. But I think that the thing that people can do is to inform others about this and how this is a serious threat.
I mean, the truth is, we all, I mean, if you're on social media, I mean, it's just a plethora of there's much hate speech there. And so while we talk about people, in and around, it's actually could impact us directly.
Yes, well, I think that as Christians, we need, the scriptures say that we need to give an account for the hope that we have with gentleness and respect. So
yes,
we're not encouraging people to go and be unpleasant to other people.
No, not at all.
To put forward our views in the most reasonable way that we can. But the problem is that even when we do put our views across in a reasonable way, other people can perceive that as being hatred, and that's an allegation that we often have against us. So, for example, if a group on the university campus opposes abortion, then some feminist group can come along and say, well, you hate women.
Yeah.
And if somebody promotes the evangelization of LGBT people, then somebody can say, well, you hate LGBT people. And then somebody is evangelizing some other religion, and then the other religion says, well, you hate our religion. So it's a question of what the difference between what the speaker is saying and what the hearer is hearing.
Yeah.
And that's something which we would have preferred them to word things differently. We put forward a number of proposals that could have reduced the risk of innocent people going to jail, and we hope that these proposals can still be considered by the Constitutional Court and they would make an order for the wording to be changed so that there would be less risk.
Yeah. Well, Philip, thank you for keeping us informed and updated. If people are interested in following you, where do we find you?
There's two places. One is Facebook/Christian View Network, and the other one would be Christian View Network, one word, on YouTube. And then you would find many similar radio recordings and short updates on various issues there.
Wonderful. Philip, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for all that you are doing for the kingdom.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks so much.
Isikhululo sakho senkuthazo.
Your inspiration station. Kingfisher FM.